Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are on the planet of Earth. It's good morning for me, good evening for Mr. Yogi, and hello and welcome to yet another Star Wars RebelsCast UK. I am one of your hosts, Ali Kenobi, and also with me is one of your other hosts.
Am I the other host?
That's you, Yogi.
Is it me? Is this the real life?
Real? Is this real life?
I tell you that little opening music we use for the live show. If you're not awake by the time you stop hearing that, by the time the song ends, then you have no soul.
No, I did a small robot dance to it, as we're doing. I don't mean in the style of C-3PO, I mean in old school 80s robot.
Oh, you
with
gotta
the kung fu.
Yeah, the homies called that popping and locking.
I would say there was some popping, but not much locking. I'm not that good at dancer.
Yeah, there's all kind of technique behind that, brother. It's like you gotta get the isolation down. The isolation is when you just move certain parts of your body by itself. Pretty good stuff. The herky jerky, the herky jerky. Everybody knows the herky jerky.
I know the Humpty Hump.
Do the Humpty dance, do the hump dance,
Yeah.
do the hump. Yeah, oh man. The other day I talked to someone. This is gonna be a little bit of banter, folks. So we apologize in advance, but we haven't talked much lately. So catching up with Ali Kenobi right now. But I talked to a guy recently. He called in to Horseplay Live. We just had a 100+ episode milestone, and he sounded like freaking Shock G from Digital Underground. So,
I'll do the Humpty dance, I'll do the Humpty Hump.
And I was like, the whole time I'm like, I don't know what his comfort level is. Do I just blindside him and tell him, has anyone ever told you sound like Shock G? Because then, it's the whole thing. Unless you're a black person, if you say something that's very ethnic, and and I'm a minority, but still I'm not black, then it's racist, Like, you sound like Shock G. Oh, yeah, but we all sound the same to you. Like, damn it.
See, I would have said it. Like, I'm a minority because I'm Scottish, like in the podcasting world. But, I mean, in general, I don't class anybody as a minority. We're all people. I would have asked it. But
I was going to.
I'd have probably get more shit for it because, like, in layman's term, I am white, But I would have generally asked him it just for... that's who I am. I would have, if he'd phone in, please, Shock G, caller from Horseplay 242 Level 1. We broadcast Tuesday nights on all games. Google us, you'll find us. I'll happily ask you if you're Shock G.
I'm going to ask him next time. I will ask him next time.
Yeah.
The first one's on the house. We don't put you on the spot as much. Because some shows you call in and they're asking you, like, when was the first time you masturbated and, weird stuff like that. It's like, whoa. Not ready for that yet.
Yogi, maybe there's some shows you shouldn't call into if that's what you're getting asked. Like, what sort of shows are you calling into when you get asked that?
I mean,
is this one of Matt Bradford's shows? Because I know he's got that website, plentyofmatt.com. I can envision Bradford asking that.
I thought it was chock full of Matt. Chock full of Matt.com.
I've heard he's expanded, damn it. He's one of my clients for the website I run, and I'm just worried that he's went off. I've heard of Chock full of Matt. I didn't know if it was him. Bradford, damn you. You know.
You know, speaking of chock full of that, I do love a good peanut brittle and chock full of nuts. Good stuff. Though I prefer poppycock. You have poppycock over there overseas? In your side of
Poppycock.
the galaxy?
Uh, well, over here, like down in England, they say poppycock as in you're talking nonsense. I don't know what
Yes.
sort of poppy or
I,
cock you're eating.
I'm familiar with that. It's poppycock is a brand of peanut brittle over here.
Okay.
In
I
addition
don't
to
think
what you said, but if someone uses poppycock in vernacular in a colloquial situation here in the States, then someone's either gonna raise an eyebrow or think they're very pretentious. Like, who says poppycock?
Oh, poppycock. Oh, that's how it's said. No, no, no. We don't have. If you sold an item in Scotland that said cock on the shelf, not specifically that, but if it had that word in it, it would become a laughing stock. No one would buy it, and I'm not just talking for Scotland, but it's being serious. You couldn't sell something like that on the shelves here.
Oh man,
Poppycock for one, it sounds English here, so it no one would purchase it, and for two, it's got the word cock in it.
I want to be the first to market something with the word cock in it that has nothing to do with something sexual.
How?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll set up a distribution deal with Poppycock. They might need
I mean, see,
some contacts overseas.
not in Scotland, because I mean, I've been to like say I don't know what you call it, the 24-hour sort of shop, like the convenience store sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I love
And
those.
after night in the pub, and you might be buying a pot noodle or something to go home, and one of your friends will spot a tin of cock-a-leaky soup, and even that we'll get a laugh, And cock-a-leaky is obviously chicken leek.
I don't know. You're making me wanna do this now. It's like telling someone don't push the big shiny red, candy red button on the console. Whatever you do, don't touch that button. I'm like, I gotta touch the button. Let me touch it.
No,
By the way, I just linked
so
you to something relevant to what we usually talk about in the show. We are a Star Wars show, not just Star Wars
yes,
Rebels.
yeah.
We talk about all facets of Star Wars.
All Star Wars.
Sometimes a little
All
sci-fi. We talk a little tangent stuff, sci-fi and fantasy.
I was actually on this site. We're talking about the Star Wars Holidays Special.com, and I was looking at the figures. There's some figures being officially, unofficially released, because I actually want to watch this. Right, we've got to talk about this, okay? Everybody listening knows, obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, about the holiday special. This is George Lucas's downfall. This is not his downfall, but he's trying to hide this from the world, so much so that it's not even available. Like, you cannot buy this. And the only way to get it is bootlegging it at conventions or downloading it. And myself and Yogi got a hold of this. Like, being RebelsCast UK, we can see pretty much whatever you want, apart from Force Awakens early. Sorry, listeners, but holiday special, yeah, I didn't finish it because I put it on and I sat down fully focused, and the intro, it's saying you've got Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, and like it's going through the whole cast, and Harrison Ford, and it's like, really? Okay. So I sat down, and yes, there is new scenes with Chewie, Han, Luke, Leia, R2-D2, C-3PO, like Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, and I was like, and Peter Mayhew, if you're listening, Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And I watched it, and it's about Chewbacca's family at home. Han Solo and Chewbacca are trying to get home. I don't know if it was recycled scenes from Star Wars or not, but it was pretty decent for a TV thing. And the version I watched had obviously old American adverts mostly for DM
Oh,
Motors. DM Motors,
dude.
this is what we do.
The
That's
General
like-
Motors stuff, and like they had the little Dude, that was such a treat because you got a rare cut that actually has what was aired with the special, and I was like,
Hmm.
dude, this is awesome because I've seen it before, but with the commercials, it was perfect. It just took me back to that time, and they had the commercial with the little
Yep.
car that you draw lines and it follows the lines, and I'm like, yes, I remember that. Oh, dude, it was so deliciously cheesy too. I like some people might say it's hard to go back to, but it's not just a nostalgia. I enjoyed it because it was just very lighthearted, and it had a pretty big cast for being a TV special thing. You know, like
Yeah.
you had the main people: R2D2, C3PO. You had Princess Leia, Han Solo, Luke
Yep.
Skywalker, played by the original actors. But then they
Played by
had
Mark
like
Hamill.
yeah, they're
All new scenes.
all the original actors that and then they had like other people in there, like
Mm.
what was it, General Wrist. Uh,
Yeah. There was a scene where he was giving the guy, it was like an advert for the communicator, and then he had to give the sort of, I don't know if he was a Death Star employee, but it looked like Darth Helmet, from Spaceballs, because his
yo,
helmet was so big. And I
the
was like,
you talk about the
please,
oh, what's the what was his name?
you,
But yeah, no,
it was,
he
it
was in the
was,
shop, right? When he was in the shop.
yeah, and it was before the cartoon part started, which we'll get into in a minute. But I mean, he was standing there, and it was like, imagine Darth Helmet from Spaceballs standing with his back to you, and I was like, I know Darth Vader's meant to be in this. Please tell me, because it said James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader, and I'm like, please tell me this is not Darth Vader, because his helmet came down to like below his shoulder blades, and they did turn
He
around
had
and
a
like, oh,
mullet.
it's
He had a
not Darth.
mullet under his
Yeah,
helmet.
I know. So, and Chewbacca's wife, they had Lumpy, that was his son, and that was the one thing I thought, I actually want a figure of Chewbacca's son, just for no reason, just for. I wanted a figure. There was no figures ever made of this. There was prototypes. This is the
I
site
love
you
the
sent.
dad. The dad. I fell in
The
love with
the
Grandpa
dad,
Chewbacca.
yeah, Grandpa was hilarious. He was grey haired, and his wife that just looked like Chewbacca with bigger lips. It was just
Yeah.
like, are you kidding?
And then there's a part where Luke Skywalker's like, "Give me a smile," and she like tilts her head. I'm
Give
like,
me a
"It's
smile. She's like,
that Chewbacca." It's so good, dude. Like it's just. I'm smiling just thinking about it right now. I don't even know if I want to talk about anything else. Like I know we got to talk about Star Wars Rebels because it's been a few episodes
we
since we
do.
last recorded. But dude, this is just so good. Wait, was the grandpa? Was his name Itchy? Yeah, Itchy was the grandpa.
Yeah, Itchy was like Chewbacca's father. He was
Dude,
the grandpa of Lumpy was the son. I cannot remember the wife's name.
Dude, this is the thing. This is how you know this is a product of the 70s and 80s. It was
Mm,
late 70s when it came out, but it definitely has that
yep.
late 70s, early 80s feel. It's very
Mm.
cheesy, very campy, but it also is definitely a product of old school George Lucas because he has like the worst naming conventions possible. Like he doesn't try. Like Darth Vader sounds like a great name, but when you think about it, like I think Vader is isn't it German for father or something?
Think
Like
so? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like he's not really trying half
Vata,
the time.
Vata. Yes, it's close to Vader. Yeah, he's not trying. And he had Chewy, Itchy, and Lumpy.
He just, like it feels like it doesn't fit, but it's like what you don't care because it's Star Wars. You're like, I buy it, whatever. That's your name, Itchy. Sure, that's your birth name. That's you don't even have to show me a birth certificate. This is not gonna be another Obama situation. I believe your name is Itchy, buddy. We'll just roll with it.
The next president, Itchy. Itchy Baka.
Oh man, I'd vote for him. I wouldn't even care what his platform is. What's your name? That's your birth
Yes.
name, Itchy. Okay, I'm in. I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah. Vote for. Does he have a second name? Is it Itchy Baka or is it just Itchy? Did they just have one name in the? I don't know how the Wiki community works. I mean,
In the credits,
we
I
have.
think it just had him at. Well, according to this site, we're talking about Star Wars Holiday
Yeah.
Special.com. It's a fan site,
.com.
right? This is not official, right? Yeah, this is.
No, no, no.
It's a fan site. But
Yeah.
alternate names for Itchy are Old Achituck, Old at what? Old Achituck with like more letters. Okay, so they're all the same, but like different variations of the Old Achituck. But like some have double T, some have double C, some have an extra U in there just for funsies. Oh,
Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy here. Exclusive interview with Lev Mailer, Imperial Guard #1. This is the guy when his back's to you. It looks like Darth Helmet, which I wouldn't be surprised if who was it? Mel Brooks. Yeah, Mel Brooks got the idea for Darth Helmet from. If you've not seen Spaceballs, it's a fantastic, fantastic parody film. That's the link there. Lev Mailer, like that's the dude.
that's
But we've
actually
got
really good. But you know what's good about it too? Before we go into the next spiel,
no,
what I
no,
like
we're
about
still
it.
talking holiday
Okay,
special.
okay, okay, okay. But here's the
So
other
what?
thing. Like, did you get the feeling like, all right, you want to laugh at the oversized helmet, but then his voice is actually kind of menacing.
Yeah, it was.
So
It's
you're
like,
like,
no,
I
I
don't know if
said,
I should be
he said,
scared.
he said, I'll have this. And he goes, oh, how much are you going to give me for it? He goes, no, I said I will have this. And walked away. And I'm like, oh,
He got
shit.
he
He's a
got a
badass.
he got a freaky futuristic Norelco shaver that also apparently clears blemishes,
Yep.
removes stains, and heats up your interstellar beverages or something. Like I'm like, wow, this is a pretty handy tool. He's like, I'll have this. He's like, it's kind of like Batman's kind of like very. It comes from like I don't know, like the chest area. You're like, I'll have this. Like
Do you know,
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'll take this. How much are you going to pay me for it? I said I'll take it.
And it's like one of those situations where it's like your helmet's ridiculous. I want to laugh, but if I laugh, you're probably gonna kill me.
Yeah, and I felt uncomfortable watching that part. You know, I was like, oh shit, he's just took that. But, you know, I'll comment on that part because obviously that was the advert for some sort of future device that did a lot of things. And see, watching Chewbacca's, I know this is not canon. This is not even George Lucas canon. This got removed from time and space by George Lucas as far as he's concerned, before even the Disney deal came in. The fact seeing this might sound ridiculous, but reading the new canon books, yeah, it's given us a wider view of the universe because obviously watching episodes 4, 5, and 6, we get a small view of a small group of people in the universe. And we're going to find this out in a lot in A Force Awakens that there was a wider universe and the effects of the Empire went on wider than we ever seen. Like, the Star Wars universe is massive. The galaxy's huge. Like, even now with new canon, like, even removing all the old planets, seeing Chewbacca's wife watching an advert in a Star Wars thing was pretty cool to me to think that, yeah, this could be going on. Like somebody's living their home life and a stormtrooper comes in and starts searching about their cupboards, finds a secret compartment, looks at all your perfume, you know, like he did.
Yep, yep.
And you know, just seeing that, it got me actually hyped, like for Force Awakens to see this wider universe and see how the Empire's affected people. You know, to see other planets apart from Tatooine, Bespin, Endor. You know, we haven't really seen that many planets. Naboo, obviously, in the prequels and things like that. But it's interesting. Like it really is a piece of
Dude,
history.
you know what just made me think of? How
Mm-hmm.
awesome would it be if they put together little low budget one shots as
Mm-hmm.
bonus material, like things like this, like you know, like you can see the home lives of different people and little in between,
Yeah.
like in between scenes, like what happens and stuff like that. Like they do
Yeah.
with the Marvel movies. Do that for the Star
Yeah,
Wars
yeah, the one
movies.
shots. Yeah,
Yeah,
with like secondary characters sort of lives.
dude.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I like
Oh,
because
but
I tell you, like even though this isn't meant to be taken seriously, clearly,
no.
and it's clearly not canon, and it was not
Oh, it's
canon for a long time.
even at the time, I think this was very tongue in cheek.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But with that, I just was so fascinated just seeing a different side of Star Wars and seeing that, and it reminded, like you said, it reminds you that these are people with everyday lives, with
Yep.
families waiting for them, that you know they have emotions, that they have other problems besides dealing with the Empire, and it blew my mind. Like it's such a simple thing, but when you actually have it in your face, you're like, oh yeah, they're
No,
real
I know
people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I was just saying, it shows a wider view of what was happening because when you say Star Wars to someone, instantly in their head, lightsabers is the first thing. Then
Yeah.
Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, those sort of things. But you never, they're sort of the top of the top. They're the ones pulling the strings. They're the politicians and they're the ones opposing the politicians. You never think of the day-to-day people and how they live their lives.
Yeah,
You know?
and you know, people always think about the Jedi mind tricks and maybe
Mm.
the droids, which actually the
Maybe C-3PO
droids.
R2D2.
Yeah, and, you know, actually the droids were kind of underappreciated in some aspects, and now I like how a lot of the stuff is bringing more focus to them. Like, dude, we get when we talk about Star Wars Rebels, we gotta talk about how awesome Chopper has been.
Yes, we do. Especially, oh, you've not seen. We're going with sort of the UK listings. We're going with like the first episode after the movie, which aired. I'm not sure where it aired, but it's called The Lost Commanders, and it's kind of a two-parter.
Oh God. Okay.
So
Well,
we will talk about.
let's finish
But
up with this first. Let's finish up
we've
with
got to
this
finish up
first.
with this.
Now,
So
by the way,
after,
Giant Helmet guy. His alternate names are Death Squad Commander, Star
I
Destroyer
like that one.
Commander, and Death Star Trooper. Now that's
No,
scary.
Death Squad Commander. That's what we'll know him as. I hope he shows up in the Force Awakens. I really do.
It's just great that like he's got the most ridiculous helmet, but he could kill you if he
He'll
just
take-
thinks of it. Like that's
Yeah,
it, you're done.
he-
You laughed at me.
He will take your shit out your house.
I like
He will
I
just
like,
come in your house, even
I
if
like
you're
this
a
toothbrush you
like.
have here.
I would. I said I will have it, and just swaggers off. You know, like drops the mic. So
And
like
then,
you know
as
those.
he's about to go off screen, he goes yoink.
No, no. I was thinking more serious, where he takes a thing and then like
I
throws up the peace sign, and all we hear is "I don't fuck with you." You know, stupid ass bitch.
Ali, we're having some more fun here. We have some viewer engagement in the chat. Morgana in particular,
Hi, Morgana.
she's debating with her daughter whether you are English or Scottish. Don't tell her. We're gonna let her marinate
Okay,
with
so
that a bit.
So where do you think Where do you think I'm from, Governor?
Hello,
Could be
governor.
from anywhere. In it. So
Oh man, we just alienated. I'm glad I'm not the one alienating our UK audience. It's you. You could do it because you're from there.
do you know, I can do that. I don't care. English people, I've got English friends. The PlayStation Show UK. Hi guys. Like they're Destiny fiends. I love the PlayStation guys. Like we meet them at Eurogamer every year. But no. Anyway, back to the holiday special. We what was it? Do you know the funniest thing? Right, I'll get back to this. Okay, right, I'm sorry. I'm going to spoil the discussion with her daughter. I have done voice roles for a video game. And the game, I cannot even remember the name of the game. That is terrible. However, right, Yogi, you'll laugh at this. I done a voice for an American guard. Okay. Okay, I done a voice for. This was for my audition tape. I done a voice for a bounty hunter who smoked a lot. It was I can't remember what was it called. Matt Bradford auditioned as well, but he didn't get a part. Anyway,
I remember you were telling me about it. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, dark something. And basically, the third voice I auditioned for was a Scottish person. I didn't get the role.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
This story never ceases to make me laugh. Like, what? You're not Scottish enough. Like, what?
How am I not Scottish enough? You're like, it's ridiculous. So I put on a further, like, almost Braveheart Mel Gibson, who's an Australian, putting on a Scottish accent, Braveheart voice. They said, no, it's not Scottish enough. I spoke in my own accent, and they said it's not Scottish enough. I spoke in I'm from Fife, like, because that's how people from Fife speak, like, and they said it's not Scottish enough. I emailed them back, right, after I got the roles, right, and I said, you know how you rejected my email text from Scotland? They said, yeah, we don't think your Scottish accent was strong enough. I said, have you ever been to Scotland?
Oh Lord.
It was ridiculous.
They respect.
Dark, there it is. Yogi, sorry. If you want to look up this game, it's free to download. It's called Dark Matter Hudokai. Hudokai. Dark Matter Hudokai. And it was part 1 I was cast in. They asked me back for part 2, but after telling me that my Scottish accent wasn't good enough, I refused to do the role again for the second part. So I don't know if they're on to part 3, but I was very drunk at the time, and I refused to do the role for them. So, if you're listening to I can't remember his name, the guard, the American guard, that was me. Also, the bounty hunter in the first part, if you play that far, that was me. But the Scottish person was not me.
You know what's funny about this? I remember downloading this, and I remember making the same comment last time, getting deja vu, because I said maybe if you just went with the go-to "get in my belly," then they would have given it to you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did download it, and I had every intention of playing it, and the hard drive that I downloaded to crashed, and then I forgot about it. It got buried with all the other stuff. Like darn. But I'm gonna have to find the link because I remember it was actually kind of hard to come by until we scoured the
Yeah.
interwebs for it. Oh man! So the holiday special, Star Wars holiday special. There's a lot
Yes.
of
Yes. So
fun stuff in here. The only thing that was hard for me to go through was a very awkward scene where the black lady is singing, and then it became
yes.
very
Do you know what
cheesy.
that felt like to me? If any of you guys that's a long time listener remembers Ross, I messaged him during this sequence and took a photo saying it reminded me of a James Bond theme song intro. The way that it was
Yeah.
so trippy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and those parts of James Bond films are usually they were tough for me back then.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, whoever else, Sean Connery. Like all those kind of sequences always were tough for me because it was like after a certain while, that breathy kind of singing that is supposed to be seductive sounds really annoying to me.
Yep.
I just can't deal. But everything else is
But
great. Like the little circus hologram thing they had going
oh my
on.
god, that was terrible. He sat down at remember the chess game, and it's always let the Wookiee win R2. Right,
Yeah.
that's as shit as Michael Jackson is. He had this sort of weird like it looked like when Jim Carrey played the Grinch. Imagine that meets Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, I see it. But you know what else was awkward about the scene with the lady singing was that when he
Hmm.
put that helmet on, was it me? Was there kind of a sense that he was getting aroused, or he's supposed to get aroused by this? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, this is a family show, right? Because she's like, I can tell you a secret, and then he's like, he's
Hmm.
getting all giddy and like jiggling in his chair while he has his helmet on and his virtualizing
Oh,
everything. And I'm like, what? What?
it's
What is
insane.
this?
Yeah, what happened? But like, then you've got some scenes interspliced with Harrison Ford, Matt Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and like they're all good. They're all decent scenes with them. It was cool seeing Mark Hamill like talking. It looked like he was in a sort of rebel base saying, "Give me a
Yeah.
smile," and then the worst turn happened. It became a cartoon, and like the weirdest thing about this film slash special is it's the first ever appearance of Boba Fett. Now I know a lot of you people are saying,
Yeah.
"What? He was in Star Wars?" No, no, no. He was in A New Hope. He was never in the original Star Wars. Boba Fett was added in later with the Jabba the Hutt scene with Han Solo when he was getting on the Millennium Falcon. That was added in. So Boba Fett was never ever seen in the original Star Wars. So the first time you seen him, apart from Empire Strikes Back, was in the holiday special. And the only time you could remember the mail away Boba Fett it's one of the rarest toys ever and one of the most expensive Star Wars toys. The only way to get him was after the holiday special. So technically the Boba Fett mail away is a holiday special toy.
Check that out. That blew my mind too when realizing that, like, you're right. Because,
No one had seen him before.
here's the other thing, like, and it just makes me think about how filmmaking used to be more of an art with practical effects, and now they do all
Mm.
this CGI
Well,
stuff, and that's one
well,
thing,
George Lucas did. J.J. Abrams looks like he's taking it back to the old school.
which is cool, and I totally appreciate it. But that's one thing that George Lucas gets ragged on for a lot of things. But the one thing I agree with is that when he went crazy with all this computer effects, I was like, all right, slow down there, buddy. There's nothing wrong with that. Touch them up a little bit so they don't look as grainy, and
Yep.
preserve them and digitize them. But you don't need to do all this like post production stuff. It's a little crazy. But whatever he did, and it's done.
Yeah, the worst thing he done was superimposing Force Ghost Hayden Christensen onto Anakin at the end of Jedi. However, that makes total sense that we could see Anakin's Force Ghost in The Force Awakens. Because
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, it's a different actor. And I've got the original figure of the original actor as the Force Ghost. And the fact that Hayden Christensen is still alive and well and could possibly do a cameo says to me that we'll maybe see Anakin popping up in some of the look scenes. I don't want to do too much thinking about The Force Awakens on this episode, though. That's because it's not long now.
We should have time to get at least another episode before then. We got what, 3 weeks now for the
3 weeks.
worldwide event.
Are you going? Are you going to see it, Yogi? Yeah, obviously. Are you going day one?
I would love to, but for me, with the size of my family, movie outings have to be planned months in advance, so we don't end up killing each other.
See, I'm lucky. Well, I wouldn't say I'm lucky enough. We're planning a family, obviously, just now, and we don't have a family as of yet. However, my cousin Ross, who used to do the show, when I was in honeymoon, bought me tickets to see the show, and it was on launch night, and it's at the IMAX, which is obviously the greatest way to see it. It was sold out at midnight.
Are those tickets like $30 equivalent out by you?
Maybe about £10, maybe about the same. However, we're going at 3 a.m, Yogi, because midnight was sold out. Over here, midnight showings are sold out of The Force Awakens.
I don't doubt it. Midnight's
insane.
A very popular slot.
Yeah, so we're going at 3 a.m. So after work that night, I have to get the train up to Glasgow, and then we're going to watch 4, 5, and 6. Hopefully, I get the day off before, so I don't need to. And we can watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But definitely cannot wait for that. But anyway, let's finish off this holiday special. And before we start on the Rebels, I want to touch on something else that happened in between episodes. I know you've done one with Andy before. However, we've not done one for a while. And if you're wondering why there's been such a gap of me in episodes, is because I've not uploaded the last episode yet. I thought I had. However, the tags were wrong.
I try not to bug you about that, but
No. Yogi does, but I mean, I didn't upload it properly. The tags were wrong, so I will get on that tomorrow afternoon. So you'll have a bit of a time lapse. The episode that will be uploaded first will be the episode where me and Yogi are speaking before him and Andy spoke. A bit like Star Wars. You get the sequels before the prequels. Now we're getting the sequels. I don't know how to call these films, but basically there's more episodes coming. There is one recorded on my hard drive right now. But
that's pretty timey-wimey. Not appropriate for this show, perhaps, but it works.
But perhaps appropriate for some wibbly-wobbly timey-wimey tea time show. Not to throw out a shameless plug or anything. But
Not at all.
But the holiday special ended up weird because it went all cartoon. It wasn't even childlike cartoon. It was almost like realistic cartoon and hand-drawn, I believe. And then it branched back into live action. And I never finished it. So, Yogi, what's your opinions on the rest of this? After the cartoon, I was like, no. This is too much for an afternoon.
Well, I'm going to rewatch it. Let's put it like that. Because I was watching the second half kind of like half-assed. I was multitasking. But like I said, I enjoyed it. It was just like they took a lot of risks. And that's I think I appreciate that part the most. It's like this was not a conservative project at all.
No.
I mean, it had something for the kids and something for the adults. I mean, it was a little bit of everything. It kind of made me think of The Muppet Show. It's a variety show that could be enjoyed on multiple levels, because the kids are watching and they're laughing, but the adults are looking at the kids like they really don't get what they just said there.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like this will ever be produced again, I think, live action anyway. There are rumours of George Lucas' unproduced TV show that has scripts. I think there was 50 scripts. It was around the time that 1313 was announced. Remember the game?
Yep.
There's trailers out that was going to tie into the TV show. Then Disney bought it, get cancelled. There's rumours that Netflix or Amazon are going to pick up that show. Probably Netflix. For a 3, I think the last I read was 3 episodes. However, we'll see what happens. But we will continue the holiday special talk since this is the holiday season. And the last 42 was the anniversary of the holiday special as well. That's why I went and got it. We'll continue the second part. So if you can get a hold of the holiday special, I'm not encouraging our listeners to do anything untoward, but if you can get a hold of the holiday special through any means, please watch it and tune in next episode to hear our part 2 discussion. But Yogi,
Maybe we'll have some call-ins and we can have people share their reactions to it. That'd be fun.
Let's have some call-ins. Hopefully we get Shock G calling in.
I gotta talk to him. Man. Be like, Shock G, we need you. Do the
We
dance.
need you, Shock. He's our only hope. So, yeah, enough of the Humpty Dance. We'll move on. Yogi, I've got to talk to you about a rumour.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and I sent you a YouTube link, and you asked me what it was. And I said, it's a YouTube link. Now, this went on Reddit. This is actually a theory more than a rumour. But I don't know if you've heard about this, Yogi, but it totally makes sense. Jar Jar Binks
Uh-oh.
was the Phantom Menace.
Interesting.
Okay.
So, are they trying to play up that maybe he was playing dumb and he's a double agent or something?
Yep.
Really?
Nope. Have you not read this? You should have watched that video. Okay, watch this video after this show and tell me next show.
I will.
Basically, this has got people rewatching The Phantom Menace. This is it's a stone cold brilliant theory. This is one of the best things, and it makes sense. George Lucas said that he wanted to mirror the original trilogy with the prequels, yeah? Okay? So you've got like Anakin, you've got like Obi-Wan, you've got Qui-Gon. Everything matches up. Who's the Yoda character? The Yoda character who is the most powerful Jedi in the world. Who is the one sort of creature that is with them in all the films that matches up? The answer would be Jar Jar Binks. Okay? So the theory goes, right before I start the theory ends with that George Lucas, basically after the fan reaction to Jar Jar Binks, kind of pussied out, more or less, sorry listeners, of making Jar Jar the overall Sith Lord. Now, when you first meet Jar Jar, he's banished from a Gungan city. Okay, why was he banished? He doesn't ever tell you. However, when they meet two Jedi, Yogi, and the Jedi are allowed free. Jar Jar has 3 armed guards with handcuffs on him, right? And they're talking to 2 Jedi. Jar Jar also jumps up in the air and flips round, lands in the water. And yes, that could be written off that he's an amphibian. However, we've only seen this in the Star Wars universe performed by Jedi characters or Force wielders. Yeah? Okay. Jar Jar Binks is around every time. I'll leap forward a bit. After the Phantom Menace, Jar Jar gets elected to speak on behalf of the people of Naboo. Why would a bumbling idiot like that get permission to speak on behalf of Naboo? He's also beside Palpatine. Every time you see him in the films, rewatch these, listeners, if you want. If you don't believe me, also look up this theory so you can watch it alongside. There's a conversation Qui-Gon has, right, in the movie, and there's a conversation that Padme has in the movie, and Jar Jar is there both times, and you can watch him, and they've actually slowed down the movie, zoomed in on Jar Jar. He's mouthing the words that they are saying as if he's persuading them. If you watch Jar Jar, he also moves his hands about a lot. And sometimes
like a Jedi mind trick?
Like, yes.
Oh
a lot of people
Lord.
are saying that he moved his hand about. Like, see when he becomes Bombad General? He has just moved his hand past Boss Nass's face, and he says, Bombad General? Okay, okie dokie. You know, and the fact that his eyes are bright yellow, like what?
Yeah, like a Sith.
Yes. And the fact that everything that happens is because of Jar Jar. He's the one that actually told an 8-year-old boy that Padme was pretty hot. He's also the one that told the Jedi that they needed to go there. That he brought Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon to Gungan City. He also, in the middle of a battle, stood on a battle droid and managed to dodge 3 shots and shoot 3 people with a broken battle droid.
This is true. You know, I gotta say, I never thought this deep about Jar Jar, but I did notice that he always was in the right place at the right time,
Hmm?
and he had like the dumbest luck. And I'm like, this guy is probably just acting. He's probably a
Hmm?
badass. So what is he
Yep.
hiding? So that now that
So,
makes a lot more sense. And I
so
wonder, like,
this
if people would turn around and appreciate him more if they find out he
no,
really.
no, Yogi, they are on Reddit. Like, I'm not a big Reddit fan, but on Reddit, people are watching the Phantom Menace because of this discussion. Like, I don't mind the Phantom Menace. Yeah, it's got its boring parts with the politics, but the pod racing in Darth Maul makes that film. But watching it back with that knowledge of Jar Jar, like the fact that he so happened to spit out a thing in the marketplace that landed on Sebulba that got Anakin into the pod race, that's not just chance. And like in the middle of the video I sent you, Yogi, Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope turns around and says, "In my experience, there's no such thing as luck." You know?
Yeah, I wonder if does it tie into the Clone Wars animated
No.
series as well?
Well, because in the Clone Wars, Jar Jar Binks is dressed in a black hooded cloak in one of the episodes.
I saw that. I remember that.
Yeah. So
Huh.
he looks like a Sith Lord, right? No, here's where the theory gets interesting, Yogi. You know Andy Serkis. He's playing a CGI character called Supreme Leader Snoke in this movie, and no one knows who he is. What if J.J. Abrams has pulled the ultimate long con, and Snoke is actually Jar Jar Binks, and that is J.J. Abrams making the sequels a legitimate property again. If he did that, he would actually make those movies, because here's the reasoning: the Phantom Menace is not Darth Maul. Everyone knows about Palpatine. Who's the Phantom Menace?
It's true. I never quite
You know,
pinpointed that either. I'm like, why did they call that? Huh? Dude, that's some mind blowing stuff right there.
isn't it? Like, honestly, watch that video I sent you, Yogi. If anyone else wants to watch it, like, Google Jar Jar Binks Sith and YouTube it and watch it, read it, watch The Phantom Menace again, and you will see that Jar Jar is everywhere he needs to be, and everything happens because of Jar Jar Binks. And one of the video I sent you, it shows a clip of George Lucas talking, Yogi. And do you know what George Lucas says? Jar Jar is the key to all of this. We have to have Jar Jar working. You know, that's him talking to the CGI department, talking about getting Jar Jar Binks working. He says Jar Jar is the key to all this. So the theory reckons that George Lucas got afraid that the fans were so against him that he changed the whole story. And that's why they're saying, where the fuck did Count Dooku come from? Why is he suddenly there? Where was he in the Phantom Menace? Why has he just appeared? And yeah, people could say, well, Darth Maul was gone, he got a new Sith Lord. No, that's not what happened. If you read the lore, and even the canon lore, Count Dooku was a Jedi that turned evil. So where the hell was he? And yeah, oh, he was making the clone army. He didn't make the clone army, the Camino cloners did. Count Dooku was in the background and he just paid the money for it. So where was Count Dooku in the Phantom Menace? Count Dooku was thrown in, as was General Grievous, because George Lucas had changed the whole story because people hated Jar Jar. But even then, he still laid the ground lines that he could possibly be something more, because he becomes a senator. Jar Jar was a senator. Who's going to let that guy be a senator in any senate? And the fact that he was wearing the dark robes in the Clone Wars and looked like a Sith Lord. And here's the biggest one that got me, Yogi. I scrounged over this and looked over this for 3 days. I'm not even lying. Do you remember the scene where they're getting out of the Gungan city and the big fish eats the little fish?
Yes.
Right. Rewatch that scene. Jar Jar Binks passes out as the fish is chasing them. As Jar Jar passes out, the big fish comes and eats the other one with Sith eyes. When the fish is eaten, Jar Jar reawakens and he is chewing.
Whoa.
Boom. Boom. people are saying that he's planted himself in the fish's body and ate the other one. That was the one that made me think, holy fudge, this could be true. You know, it's a big thing to think about. And if J.J. Abrams has the balls on him, which I think he does, I'm not predicting it now because in my mind, J.J. Abrams wouldn't risk it. But I do think he's got the balls that Supreme Leader Snoke could be Jar Jar Binks. He would redeem the sequels in doing that. What do you think, Yogi?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, personally, the only problem I had with Jar Jar Binks, Jar Jar Binks, he's ridiculous, and I could appreciate comedy relief, but I just felt like he was shoehorned in. But
Yes.
upon rewatching the movie, I started to see like there was a slight. It was suspicious, like how convenient everything is. Like, and I don't really believe in coincidence, especially not in the Star Wars universe. I'm like, I started to have my suspicions, but I never thought about it like that deep. It was just too much coincidence that he was always in the right place in the right time, and he was so well connected with people. He was always close to people in power. He was always close to major events, pivotal events. It's like, man, if this guy was a spy or he was just pretending to be dumb, it would
But
be the best con ever.
people are saying that he was Palpatine's master.
Dude, that's crazy.
Okay, so I'll give you the original.
So
I'll
he,
send you the link so you can put it in chat. That's the original Reddit. Okay.
so he's more powerful than Palpatine.
Then yes, because see some of these movements that he does. The video I sent you actually showed you. You know the Drunk Master with Jackie Chan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, okay, that is a style of kung fu which is made to show you, to make your opponents think that you are drunk, that you're incapacitated, that you're inebriated. And it is through floppy body movements that you build your speed. And it shows you comparisons like split screen of Jar Jar Binks' movements and this drunk sort of Capora style fighting. It's insane.
Dude, you just
And
combined another one of my favorite things with Star Wars, which is Kung Fu.
Kung Fu. You know the yeah, IP Man is one of my favorite films. Ip Man
Oh yeah, Ip Man 1 and 2 with Johnny
with Donnie
Chan.
Yen.
Johnny Yen,
Donnie Yen.
Johnny Yen, Johnny Yen, Johnny Yen.
You know Donnie Yen. Donnie, funny link. Donnie Yen is actually in Rogue One. He's been cast in next year's movie, Rogue One. It is set. I think it's before A New Hope, and it's talking about the Rebel squadron that got the Death Star plans. Donnie Yen's been cast in that, dude.
That's sweet. I mean, I like Donnie Yen and like Jet Li are like two modern martial art legends as far as I'm concerned. Like they're up there with Bruce Lee.
Yeah, I'd put Donnie Yen above Jet Li personally these days, but that's because Jet Li kind of made his money and went away. Apart
Yeah,
from Expendables.
yeah, he did kind of get complacent, but like Jet Li's early stuff, phenomenal.
It is indeed.
Like
But
the
anyway,
new Legends of Shaolin, by the way, you should check that out. Good times.
So Jar Jar Binks, if he's in the new movie, I will love it, and so will a lot of people. Like if he is Supreme Leader Snoke, and that is the CGI character that he's playing. Also, see the actor that played Jar Jar Binks, you know, because he wasn't full CGI. Actually commented on Twitter saying, "I love when people, no matter how long it takes, find the real meaning behind the stories." You know, after this theory came out, Yogi. So I reckon George Lucas has backed out of it and said, "No, I can't do it. People hate him." You know, but it makes sense if you look at them. Literally, there's a video, if you look on YouTube, shot for shot, the original trilogy for the prequels. It's literally shot for shot. The stories are the same, like the action sequences are the same, like everything adds up. And you might be thinking, what? It wasn't like that. Watch the video, Google on YouTube, and you will see it. And the fact that Jar Jar Binks lines up to the Yoda character, it blows my mind. And the fact that J.J. Abrams could have the balls on him to do the thing that George Lucas was afraid to do or apprehensive to do, it's amazing. Like if George Lucas does that, if J.J. Abrams does that, if he pulls it off, that Jar Jar Binks is the original, it's finally showing us that he was the Phantom Menace. It redeems the sequels and makes them. It doesn't make them as bad. Like people hated it because of Jar Jar. The fact that Jar Jar was playing the long game, wow. because Jar Jar's not officially dead.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man.
so boom. Anyway, after that mind blowing escapade, please check out the Reddit. I read it all. No pun intended. I also watched several YouTube videos from big Star Wars fans. They all agree on the fact, and I would love it to happen. I don't know. What do you think on Yogi? Would you like it to happen? Do you think it shouldn't happen?
Oh man. I mean, I'm good either
It would
way, but part
it
of
would
me
blow minds.
part of me would be kind of sad because I actually kind of find Jar Jar endearing because he's so innocent. But if
He's
that innocence is destroyed, it's like it's nothing sacred. But then I'm like, damn, well played, sir.
Yeah, but honestly, Yogi, see that video I sent you, the YouTube link, the second one that actually works. Watch that and then rewatch the Phantom Menace. Honestly, you will pick up so many things that you missed, especially the part where he falls asleep in the ship and the big fish comes along, eats the other one, and once that's done, Jar Jar wakes up and he's chewing at the same time. That is insane.
That's some trippy stuff, dude. It's like we're gonna have to go through it frame by frame.
YouTube's done it for us. Trust me. Google Jar Jar Sith, or YouTube Jar Jar Sith. You'll find a lot about it, and I really hope it happens. I don't know if it will or it won't. I'm kind of in the middle for sure, but um, anyway, we shall move on to Rebels, which was the Lost Commanders. That was the first premiere episode of the new season, and we obviously had before that Siege on Lothal, which featured Darth Vader heavily, and it was amazing. I've got to shout out just now for my other show, 42 Level 1. Sorry for shameless plugging. We do a movie of the week, video game movie of the week, and we done Wing Commander. This ties in, Yogi, don't worry.
Oh no, that's
Uh,
it's funny you mentioned that because we were going through on a show earlier, the Sunday does. We're just gonna plug everything now, but we were talking about like what was it? The theme was games that became movies after the fact.
yep,
And the Wing
yep,
Commander was one of the ones that came up, and I love the Wing Commander series. But man,
yep.
that movie was pretty stinky. Like
You know,
I liked
I
it, but
didn't
I was like,
mind
it
it.
could have been so much better.
You know, I'm going to discuss it more in 42, so I'm not going to review it. But I was watching it and I decided to live tweet it. And I tagged Freddie Prinze Jr., who's the voice of Kanan Jarrus, official Star Wars character in canon. And he liked two of my tweets, like while I was live tweeting. I was like,
Nice.
he obviously liked doing this movie, you know. And he's in it with his co-star. I cannot remember that his name, but he was Shaggy in Scooby Doo along with Fred,
Yep,
who
yep.
was Fred. Freddie Prinze Jr. was Fred. So that was amazing to see. I didn't mind it so much, the movie. I'm going to talk about it more on Tuesday night, but Freddie Prinze Jr. favourite in a few. Kanan, it's a win for RebelsCast as well as it is for 42. So anyway, Rebels episode 1. That was the Lost Commandos, and I mean it was a good episode. I love the Clone Wars. Um, Basically, they end up on a planet. They find the droid's head, and they hear it saying, "I think it's hold on, I've just looked up here, 7567," and they spot a walker in the distance. They fly towards it. It's an AT-ATE, which is not an AT-AT. It's kind of similar, but it's a Clone War version. And they land, and Commander Rex is there, and so is Wolf, which is awesome because they were two of the main guys from the Clone Wars series. They're obviously much older and they've been living in this walker. They've been kind of doing their own thing. And I thought it was kind of cool, the whole crossover, because obviously when Disney took over, they said that nothing was canon except the movies and Clone Wars. And I was like, oh, they better incorporate it into Rebels because it's going to make no sense if it's not mentioned. This episode was Clone Wars all over because having Rex back into it, it was just cool to me. And seeing him so old with the grey Santa beard, that was awesome. I don't know what you thought, Yogi. What was your opinions?
Oh, I got so giddy when I saw them. I have to go back to Clone Wars to see where they ended up and just kind of get a sense of how they survived. I was just trying to process that. I'm like, man, how did they survive all this time? You know, and they're in that big that like dilapidated tank that they like
Hmm.
fixed up with like junk parts.
Yep.
Somehow they've been surviving on their own, just the three of them, and it's just crazy. Like I'm so curious to know what what happened, after the Clone Wars and how they fended for themselves and what they've been up to, and they give you a little glimpse into that, just enough to wet the palate. It was good. Like it got me really excited.
Yeah, it was an awesome episode, and Ezra tried to convince Rex to fight the Empire, and they were all like, "No." Wolf kind of turned against him at the end almost because he's contacted the Empire because he wanted protected. Um, but it was all good. It was good seeing the crossover. This is a two-part episode. Have you seen the next episode yet?
Yes, I saw
Yes,
him
so
back to
we can
back.
talk about. Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. So we can talk about the next episode as well, which was called Relics of the Old Republic, which is appropriate because they are relics. But I mean, the Old Republic to me, I think of Knights of the Old Republic. I think of the old canon, the ongoing Old Republic video game, which I do play. Hit me up at Ali Kenobi if you want to play me at that, because I've just reinstalled it and I'm planning getting the expansions. I love the Old Republic. It was the first era of Star Wars I ever happened to come across because before I'd seen it, I was maybe about 7 or 8. I got a few comics, Knights of the Old Republic, like back then, before the video game was released, it was a thing, and I read about Ulick Keldroma and Naomi Sunrider and all those guys. Like, I absolutely love that series. And then when my friend gave me a loan of A New Hope, I was like, "This isn't Star Wars." And they went, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, Star Wars is like this." And they went, "No, there's no yellow lightsabers." I went, "There is." Sorry, but there is. Um, so my first experience of Star Wars was not the movies; it was the comics, and I love the Old Republic era, and the fact there's still an ongoing video game that did not get cancelled with the Disney takeover is awesome to me. But in the next episode, basically the Empire came to them and they sent out AT-ATs, and there was a storm cloud, and they did handle the business. Like, it showed you that they were more sophisticated, the clone troopers, than the stormtroopers, because stormtroopers are not clones, they're not built for war, they're just sign-ups. And they kind of overwhelmed the Empire for a bit. I thought that anyway. But Yogi's going to give you a bit more about that just now. Um, uh, Hold on 2
You're
seconds.
multitasking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the coolest part to me was how resourceful they were, and in spite of the kind of awkwardness between him and Kanan, because the whole Jedi fallout between the clones, you get a little glimpse of what actually happened there. They Ali's got like squeakiest door ever, but we get a little glimpse of what really happened there. Like they reinforced that, and explained that the clones didn't turn on the Jedi, and the Jedi didn't turn on the clones. It's just it was all staged, and the way it was staged is because the clones had a control chip in them, which Wolf, Rex, and what's the other guy's name? I can't think now. Removed because they wanted to have the freedom of choice. So the fact that they choose to still be loyal to the Old Republic, to the Jedi's, and they still have that embedded in their psyche, not because they're being controlled, but that's what they really believe in. It's just, it humanized the clones a lot more, because even the Clone Wars, like, you get a sense for their individual personalities, and they're treated by human beings, by the Jedi, but you still feel like they're kind of just clones and they're kind of copies of each other, because they kind of are. But highlighting that individuality was really cool. But they're loyal to the end, and that's the thing. I think it was really cool. Like, they're calling Kanan, they're calling him Commander, and he's like, part of him you can tell likes it. He's like, well, I'm not a commander, but sure. They're acknowledging him as a master, and he never even made it to the status of Jedi Knight. What the heck is Ali doing over there? He's like cracking open a beer and cleaning up his desk or something. So it was just really cool just seeing that the interaction. I don't want to jump too far ahead until Allie comes back because the way they end this two-parter is really cool. And,
Yeah.
so yeah, I was just talking about how cool it is. Just despite the trust issues between Jedi and the clones.
Clone troopers, yeah, because Ahsoka said trust him.
Yeah, and in spite of that, how much she urged that he was still kind of like everything was kind of big. He did it begrudgingly.
Yeah. Yeah, but that kind of that ties into the comics, which are now canon. They're official. They happened in the Star Wars universe. Kanan, during his training, which I'll talk about in a minute after we wrap up this. I'm going to talk about the recent comics because Kanan got trained a bit more than we thought, but I'll talk on that a bit more. Kanan's master, Depa Bilba, she's actually in the movies. I think she's in the first and second one. She protected him during the Order 66, and Kanan knows that the two troopers that he trusted his life with and his master trusted his life with, Depa Bilba,
Wait, is this master the one that kind of has an East Indian look to her?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah, she's in the movies. She was Kanan's master. She protected Kanan, and he was one of the last Padawans, like after Order 66. Because as you've seen the movies, Anakin slayed a lot of them, like a lot. But as all we've known is the movies, the fact that we now know that some people escaped, like Kanan escaped, but his master died in the process. He hates clone troopers. That's why Ahsoka obviously said trust them.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. And they do a good job of giving you enough of a breadcrumb trail to figure out what happened. So, but it still makes you curious enough to kind of go back and fill in those gaps too.
The fact that they have get scars in their head and they tell you that they'd cut out their chips, which was I think it was season 6, the Lost Missions, which never officially came out in Britain, but I've got the Blu-ray up in my collection. It shows you that one of the clones, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, apologies listeners, but he figured out that they had chips in them. He figured out, he was on Camino, and he figured out that they were being manipulated and they were going to be part of a master plan, that some of the clones obviously had personalities like Rex and things like that. And I mean, you seen Obi-Wan's friend in the movies try and gun him down as he escaped, and the clones had no choice, and it turned out it was a chip. And Rex and Wolf and cannot remember the other guy's name.
Me neither. I was just trying to have it. I was just having the same problem. Like, what's the other guy? Wolf or Rex and what?
Anyway, the other guy, they all cut their chips out, so that kind of explains it. That they were obliged to follow it because it was a chip that was implanted in them when they were younger that told them to follow this order. However, they cut their chips out once they figured this out, which is awesome.
Yeah,
it's really good. Amazing.
No, I love that this two episode story arc becomes the setup for what we're hopefully gonna see throughout the season and maybe beyond. That they're creating like this theme of them trying to find allies for their cause and rebuilding the rebellion, and I like that a lot. Now, were we gonna cover the episode where they had the food drop and there was a blockade, or is that for next? Are we gonna do the next show?
We can cover that if you want. Is that always two there are where the Inquisitors come into it?
Yeah.
Okay. We can cover that just now. Okay, so we'll give a bit of background to this. Like, there's the Inquisitor in the last episode. In the finale, obviously, Kanan took him down, and people knew him as the Inquisitor. However, it turns out that Darth Vader had many attack dogs that he trained in the Force, and he's now got two. One of them, this is a fun fact for listeners that love movies, is Sarah Michelle Gellar, also known as Buffy, also known as Freddie Prinze Jr.'s wife, who plays Kanan.
Look at that. It all comes around full circle. But hold on, before we jump into this episode.
Yes.
Is there anything else we wanted to talk about with the reintroduction of the clone troopers? The good guys, Rex, Wolf, and the third guy we don't know. We don't remember his name. Yeah, I think we covered everything. But I just want to make sure because I don't want to glance over it because I think these 2 episodes were very
Um,
very big.
mm, they were very big. The Ghost Crew follow the droids. They go down, and Gregor was the other one apparently. Wolf,
Ah,
Gregor, and
Gregor.
Rex.
That's
Yeah, so it was
something I just
Gregor.
remember. You know, I want to. We also should mention too the fact that they were when the crew was gonna escape. The clone troopers were about to sacrifice themselves, and like
Yes, they
they were
were.
doing. They were slamming their tank into the AT-AT to keep them distracted and everything, and they find was it Kenyan that had the change of heart and decided to come back and scoop them up?
Um, was it
Was it
not Rex or Ezra?
was it
I
Ezra?
cannot.
Well, I
It's been
think
a few
Ezra
weeks since I
convinced
watched
him.
it.
I think Ezra convinced
Yes,
him, and he finally had a change of heart, and then he came back. So
yes. Ezra convinced Kanan.
yeah, like Ezra's kind of like his Jiminy Cricket. Like it's like, dude, come on, don't be like that. That's grimy, yo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they came back and scooped him up, and like it was just the thing is that, like I don't know. I got a little bit of feels in this part because they were willing to, like, in spite of everything that went down and the kind of
Mhm.
life they have to live, kind of in refuge away from the rest of the world. They still had their loyalties to the Jedi, and they were willing to sacrifice their lives for it. And they weren't being controlled now. They were doing it completely out of free will. Like, that part really moved me. And then, they get rescued, and they become part of the crew. And I'm like, yay, we're gonna see more of them.
For a bit. I mean, like the good part of this episode was when the mist came down and they were basically fighting them in the dark, and the AT-AT
Yeah.
walkers were fighting the AT-TE, and they outmaneuvered them. It was all battle tactics, and it showed you the big difference, like I was saying earlier. But that was a big scene for me when they were fighting was it three walkers they were fighting?
Was
I
it
think it was. I
three?
think it was three.
Yeah, it was three. It was three. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was just cool because, like, it was such a tense sequence of events because they're in the
Mm.
sandstorm, and they're using the Jedi powers to feel out things, and then Ezra shoots blindly using his Jedi powers to hit the neck of the AT&T AT&T the AT-AT, because that's the weak spot of the walkers, and then it goes down, and like all these little things that happen, but like they all work together so well, and it got me excited. I love tactics. Good battle tactics. Like in video games, I love playing tactics games. Turn-based
Yeah.
tactics games, and it felt like a big fancy like chess game. So yeah, big fan. But let's talk about the introduction of the two new Inquisitors.
Okay, so the
Two of many apparently.
two of many, because obviously we were introduced to the Inquisitor. In the original one, he had the double lightsaber. Apparently, all of them have double lightsabers. Inquisitor Kanan
Now they
destroyed in a moment of hatred when he thought he'd killed Ezra at the end of the last season.
Now the one that he killed, they have a official designation for him. He's like the head
Mm,
Inquisitor. They called him
um,
something. Remember?
I, I don't think there was a designation. I think he was just one of the Inquisitors. He was. I don't know if he was the chief or Vader's. I don't think there was a specific thing.
They said
I could be wrong.
Cause they did say. I remember distinctly they said something, and it stood out for me because the two Inquisitors basically said, "Now there's a opening." So
Yeah, they were
they
filling
want
the
the
top slot.
promotion. Yeah,
Yeah, the Grand Inquisitor.
the Grand Inquisitor. There you go. Yeah.
There you
So
go.
he
Yeah, but
supposedly
there's
was the more
dead.
badass one.
He's supposedly dead also. Like, I don't believe he's finished because he was such a cool character. Like, I thought he was going to be a main protagonist for the rest of however long Rebels lasts.
Yeah.
However, Kanan, he didn't kill him. He knocked him off the edge, And we've seen Darth Maul getting knocked off and cut in half and still survive in the canon. So I don't know if this Inquisitor's dead.
Huh.
I don't know what you think in that, Yogi, but we're casting back to last season.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because, having the element of surprise is the best thing. He could just be waiting in the shadows, waiting for them to let down their guard, and then boom. So it makes sense for sure, and I agree. Like the Grand Inquisitor was definitely too interesting of a character to get rid of so soon.
Yeah,
But I mean,
unless
they kind of
unless
had
they
to
built,
deal with him too.
they had to deal with him, and it was a nice ending that Kanan thought Ezra had been killed, even though he'd just been knocked off, a bit like Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace. But he didn't actually go through him with the lightsaber. He just he got knocked off the edge.
He had the
So
opportunity to, though. He could have finished him off.
he could have, but he chose not to. Do or
So
do not. There is no try.
right on, yep. But so yeah, I think it's very plausible that he's still around. But these two Inquisitors that we've seen so far, they're no slouches.
No, they are not. They are not. And that'll bring us nicely into always two there are. And basically, the episode starts off with Ezra's learning to levitate with the Force, and he's trying to pick up Chopper. And obviously, this kind of reflects Luke Skywalker being told by Yoda on Dagobah to pick up the X-wing out the swamp. You know, and
Yep.
he was trying to do that, and he didn't. And obviously, we get Rex on the ship still, and he's talking about a Jedi general he fought beside, which could have been Obi-Wan or Vader. And he basically combined the Force with his wits. And it was interesting to see that small part. I'm more interested, like, all in all, this season so far, I felt it's kind of middle of the road episodes, nothing really heavy yet, apart from obviously Siege of Lothal, when you seen Ahsoka realizing that Vader was still alive. This episode started off well, but I prefer the episodes going into Kanan teaching Ezra, like the Jedi things. And I know this is showing us a different look on the Star Wars universe, and they can't really go to Jedi, and it's setting up the rebellion. However, I feel this is kind of danced around the mythology this season so far, whereas last season it kind of like full force went head in. Not full force went head in, but kind of like, here you are, here you are. There was only one bad episode of last season, whereas this season so far is maybe 6, 7 episodes, and we're only discussing the first three. But I feel there's been stronger episodes in the last one. I don't know about you, Yogi.
I don't know. I feel like the pacing is better now, because like last season they did have that one. It was fun. It was a fun episode, but it was very much filler. Like it didn't do much other than maybe build up the characters more and bring the focus away from some of the other crew. Where Ezra and was it what's the girl's name? The one that wears the assassin, the bounty hunter armor. Oh my god, I can't think of her name now. Graffiti girl.
You talking about?
When Ezra and the other young girl went on that one mission. What's her name? I can't think now. I'm totally brain farting.
In this episode, or?
This is last season. I'm thinking about the filler episode where they were going on a hunt for like fruit or something silly. It was like a wild goose chase they were like sent off on to keep them busy. So
Is she only in this episode?
Huh?
It's the girl you're describing only in this episode, or are you talking about one of the Ghost crew?
Well, I'm talking about like you were talking about how we feel about this season so far, right?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying last season I feel like there was more filler than this season.
Yeah, but who's the girl you're describing? Was she only in this
The one that
episode?
wears the helmet.
The man. Oh, Sabine.
Sabine, there you go.
Alright, okay.
I'm
I thought
saying
you were just talking back. I'm trying to think of this episode, thinking, who is Yogi describing? Sabine Wren, who is, she wears the Mandalorian armor. Yeah.
yeah, Sabine. I was about to call her. I was about to call her Sabaro, which is like a pizza chain out here. And like that's not her name. It's something Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Sabine,
that's how you know it's getting late.
who showed up? Yeah, it's getting early. It's 10 to 7 here. But,
So yeah, you were asking about like how the pacing is. Like I feel like last season was a lot more exposition and setting up the characters. You know, doing the characterization. now I feel like the show is really has got its identity, and it's more about them trying to forge some alliances and keep certain relationships alive. Like the whole food drop thing is huge because if they lose those allies, they're trying really hard. Like they're jumping through hoops and they're sacrificing a lot along the way. Like it was painful to see them lose that transport and a couple of fighters. You know, they lost a couple of pilots and a transport. You know, and they have a skeleton crew as it is. You know, it's not much of a rebellion. So I don't know. I've liked every episode so far.
Well,
Particularly,
you seen more in Siege of Lothal that they're kind of like a splinter cell almost of the rebellion. Not a splinter cell, but they're a part of the rebellion. They're just not
right,
main rebellion because Kanan
right,
doesn't want to get involved in another war.
right. And I think also part of it is deniability. Like if they don't know too much about the grand operation, they don't become a liability for everyone else. I think that's a
Yeah.
big part of it too. Like you want to be able to not like be in a position where if you're tortured, you're captured, you can't give up anything of importance. You know.
Yeah.
So
Well, the coolest
I think that's
thing
part of
talking
it.
about that was in this episode when she's called the Seventh Sister, the Inquisitor that Sarah Michelle Gellar plays. She cornered Ezra and tried to get. She told her that they know about Ahsoka Tano, which says more about Darth Vader than the Inquisitors, and he refused to give up the information. You know, that was quite cool. The fact that she was like basically saying, "I'm going to chop your head off." You know.
Yeah, he showed a lot of resilience. And she tried to probe his mind, and he was like, "Nope, not
Yep.
happening." So I think the force is really strong within him. He has a lot of
Yeah,
latent potential there,
I'm
latent
still
power.
casting it back to the fact, if you remember the episode Empire Day of last season, that he was born on Empire Day, and it just it's Disney, so this is too much to not be a coincidence that he was born in the same day as Luke and Leia.
Hmm.
You
So
know,
like that's like
it
a
plays in my mind. That's the biggest. Never mind the Force Awakens. I'm thinking about the future of Rebels and Star Wars. Ezra Bridger, and Bridger is the bridge between. It's a play on words that he's the bridge between the films and stuff. But Ezra was also born on this. That wouldn't have been thrown in by accident or coincidence because they've got the Star Wars story group working in this, and he was born the same day as Luke and Leia. I can't
yeah.
process that in my mind. I actually can't process that and how far this will go. Like, never mind the Jar Jar Binks theory. Could Supreme Leader Snoke be Ezra? Like, I know there's been a lot of speculation that Kanan's going to show up in it, but we don't know the end of Rebels. And I'm quite sure they're not going to show us him in Force Awakens to ruin the end of Rebels that he's still going to be alive. But you never know how they're going to go. Do you see Ezra Kanan showing up in this movie? Like it's too much of a project for Disney to undertake to not have some sort of reference, in the new movie.
Man, it's a tall order. I mean, I've this whole time watching Rebels. I'm like, how are they gonna transition this into the cinematic universe?
Yeah, because it's all
And
canon.
it's all canon, right? And yeah, and again, I go back to Marvel. They do
Yeah,
that. They have the MCU, and sometimes it puts them in a difficult position because they can't. They have to fully commit, right?
yeah,
This thing you
yeah.
can't take back. So, like, I feel like they've done such a good job with these characters, and I'm really falling in love with them. That I
Yep.
almost don't want them to be in the movie because if they're ruined, I'm gonna cry a little bit. I may not cry on the outside, but I'll be a sad bear lizard. I'm gonna just say that. You know?
but, but could you, if I was to ask you any of these characters, like I'll tell you who I could see.
If you had to
Any of
choose
these
one, if you had to
characters,
choose one,
one character to be in the movie. Do you know who I would choose?
who would you choose?
Ahsoka.
Yeah, I would like that. I do have a soft spot for her.
Do you know, I actually picked up in a local Asda who's owned by Walmart now, in case you're wondering what sort of shop I'm talking about. I was in Asda and they had a double pack and it's the first one I've ever seen, so I had to purchase it. It was Darth Vader with Ahsoka Tanoe.
That's
And it
cool.
was Darth Vader in the stylings of how he is in Rebels. You know, that sort of almost anime look with sort of pointy sort of visor.
Yep, yep.
So I was like, I need to own this. And I was in the middle of the toy aisle, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Ah!" And she's like, "Okay, Star Wars, put it in the basket. Let's move on. There's people, children here." you know.
And then, and that's awesome on its own. But outside of her connection to Darth Vader, I just like how much she's matured since we've come to know her. You know, she was kind of a brat, always trying to prove something, and now she's just so mature as such a leader. I want to see her come into her own as a Jedi Master and really become central to everything. So yeah, definitely her.
Yeah, she seems
I
like a survivor as well. The fact that
yeah.
she at the end of at the end of Clone Wars, at the end of the Lost Mission season 6, she left the Order. She kind of get disavowed. She got told that she was no longer allowed to be in the Order because she was suspected of a bombing, which was nothing to do with her. And she left. And when they asked her back and apologized, she said, "No, I don't want to be a part of this anymore." And Anakin ran after her. That was an amazing sequence. And the fact that she survived alone and kind of kickstarted this rebellion, it makes sense that Vader's apprentice would kickstart the rebellion. She also thought Anakin was dead after Obi-Wan killed him, but the fact that she survived this long to Rebels and grew up and built this sort of rebellion, it's amazing. And it says to me that she could potentially have survived the episodes of A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi, because people keep saying to me, "No, it won't," but the people that are saying that to me don't realise that Star Wars is a bigger world. Like I said before, we've seen maybe a handful of planets at most. We haven't seen the whole galaxy. We don't know how people live. We don't know how far away Ahsoka went before she built up the rebellion.
Yeah,
So
we've only seen like maybe like one planet in the outer
yeah,
rim. You know, it's
yeah.
like there's a lot of stuff out there. You mentioned that she's a survivor, and then I'm thinking the opposite of that. Like, I've also grown to appreciate Zeb a lot more. That's his name, right? He's become more of a softie, and like they've rounded him out a lot more. He kind of reminds me of what's his face, Jane from Firefly. Remember him?
yes,
He,
yes.
he's got
He
that kind of
yeah,
swagger to
attitude.
him.
He's got the swagger, the attitude, the sort of way he lives his life. I can totally see him, and the fact that it's kind of this is kind of a sad thing. Obviously, I had my Disney Infinity episode.
Yep, yep.
I obviously have Chewbacca and Zeb now. Zeb was originally drawn as a prototype of what the Wookiees would look like. So I love to have the both of them on my Disney Infinity base, as dirty as that sounds. It's just kind of cool to me, the fact that I can have both of them on the same base. The fact that he was the prototype of Chewbacca.
He's funny looking because if you look at his eyes, he's got like a pit where his like retina is. Have you noticed that? Like he's got like an indent in his eyeball. It's weird. Like I'm noticing a lot more now, but I mean that's not.
That's not looking into it as much as the Jar Jar theory. I mean, like Ralph. I'm sure. Is it Ralph McQuarrie? Ralph McQuarrie. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He done the concept art for Star Wars, and the way he originally drew Wookiees was like Zeb. So I don't look too much into Zeb. I'd like to know more of his backstory. I'd like to see him meeting Chewbacca a bit, like we've seen Chopper meeting R2-D2 a few times now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the thing. You're talking about survivors and who you could picture in the new movies, and then you got me thinking, going down a dark road. I'm like, well, so who's the least likely to survive? Or who's the first that's gonna probably die?
Hera.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I would say her. Zeb is right behind her. Sadly, I hate to say it. I don't want anybody to go, but you know that's what's gonna happen. Eventually, it's inevitable, right? We live and then we die. But yeah, Hera makes sense because I think we talked about this before. How that might be
She's
the
not
thing.
appreciated. I think I had a big rant one episode about how I couldn't find a Hera figure.
Yeah, that's true. And also in the story itself, Kanan's kind of still
Because
lukewarm
imagine,
towards her sometimes. Like
but if you read A New Dawn by
I
John
did,
Jackson Miller,
I did. It's
yeah, well,
excellent.
you see more of Hera's character in that. But even with that, I understand she's kind of reserved. But here's one thing for you: season two, end of Hera dies. The end of season two,
Oh God, don't say it.
and
No,
and
no.
no, but here, this is why it gives more. It makes sense because it gives more interesting character development to Kanan. Because then
It
Kanan would be
does.
in charge of the. He'd be in charge of the Ghost Crew. He'd be in charge of the communications with the rebellion. He'd have to get in the war or admit that he's part of it. You know.
Yep. He
Oh,
because he's that's the thing. He right now he's on defense really hardcore and everything. Like I really feel that if he was gung ho about the rebel thing, there will be no doubt in his heart, no fear in his heart, and they'd be getting better results. Less people will die or get hurt. And if he just freaking let Hera know how much he appreciates her and just share his feelings, like sometimes I feel like he's pulling so many punches and I get so frustrated. I know
I'll,
Jedi are not supposed to fall in
Jedi's.
love,
Yeah, and right, I'm gonna have to get into the comic bit a bit here.
but
I'll
he doesn't
combine actually.
embrace that lifestyle. That's the
No,
thing.
but yes, but he's
He's
putting on a
picking and
big face, right? And
he's
the
picking
reason
and
that
choosing. That's the thing. He's
no,
picking and choosing the
he's
parts that he
not.
likes. All right, go ahead. All right, I'm
He's
sorry.
not. He's not. He's not. He's not.
It's
He's
frustrating
not.
me, man. It's frustrating me, bro.
It will, right? But see the comics right now, Kanan especially, the last Padawan it's entitled, and it's kind of cool the way it's shown with current day with Kanan, and then obviously just now he's in a Bacta tank. Spoiler alert. And the crew are saying, how long will it be before he gets out? And they're saying like 2 weeks or whatever. And he's like, no, it can't be that. And Zeb's arguing with the guy. And then it flashes into Kanan's mind and it's showing you his past. It's really done clever. I
Huh.
recommend that comic. I recommend
Wait,
this
wait.
comic.
When do these comics take place, timeline
Um,
wise?
Timeline wise with Rebels, I do not know, but Ezra is a Jedi, so I'm guessing season two. Ezra's definitely got his lightsaber, but it doesn't show you much of the Rebels crew. It's more about Kanan's past because in the first season, in the first sort of volume of Kanan, which should be out in paperback right soon, I've been getting the monthlies. Um, Kanan actually, they're going to a planet in the Ghost, and Hera says, "Have you been here before?" And he says, "No, I've not." Kanan Jarrus has never been here, but as we all know, Kanan Jarrus is an alias, and Caleb Doom is his real name. And it
Yeah.
flashes back talking about how Caleb was on that planet when he first his master Depa Bilba died, and he had to go to that planet. And he met up with smugglers, and it shows you how Kanan became Kanan in A New Dawn. In A New Dawn, Kanan's basically like a bouncer. He's sort of like the heavy guy. He's just like he doesn't want to have anything to do with the Jedi, and there's a reason because he's in hiding. And a lot of the time, we've been told Kanan didn't have a lot of Jedi training. Kanan didn't do much. He barely was in the Jedi Order. This is untrue. Kanan, in the recent issue, it shows you that he got his master. There was a bombing planned on the Jedi Temple, and Kanan helped avert it. Kanan went through all the different techniques of lightsaber training, as a Padawan does, and it shows you him questioning the methods. He actually questions the Force itself, so it's not untrue to his character. He actually questions. I don't know if it's Yoda that's teaching him. I can't remember this issue. Yoda or someone's teaching him, and they tell you that the Force is all becoming. And he says, so how did people know about the Force? Did it just happen? Did it show itself? Or did people just know it was there? And there's no answer to Kanan's questioning. So it makes sense. And Kanan actually, like I said, done all the lightsaber training. He got a master. He went through every stage of Padawan before he got a master. He was a bit young to be taken on as a Padawan, but he excelled in his class. He built his own lightsaber and it got destroyed. So the lightsaber we see in Rebels, the one that comes apart, is actually his second lightsaber that gets built after he gets a master. So Kanan has been through a lot more of Jedi training than we actually think or have been shown on the show.
Hmm.
Does that change your opinion slightly?
No, no, it doesn't because I know that there's a lot that he's not letting on, on the show. It's just I just feel like he needs to make up his mind. You know, like he's kind of dipping his feet in the water both ways. You know, like
Yeah, but that's because
and I
he's
get
had to
why.
live. He's had to grow up not knowing to show. He's had to hide that he's a Jedi. You read a New Dawn. He
That's
had to be a
true.
bouncer. He worked in a bar. He was just a bouncer. He was almost a merc for a while. He was a smuggler. He lived the life of Han Solo, for a while, and then he became a bouncer at the bar before things kicked off with Hera.
Well, I do love that aspect of him that he combines so much of my favorite aspects of the different characters. Like Han Solo and stuff, and I love that part about him. It's just I'm rooting for him, and I want him to kick justice in the face in a good way. Wait, that's a bad thing to say. Kick evil in
Well,
the face.
since I've covered the comics during that section, here's a link as well. You can put in the chat as well. Have you heard of the actor Max von Sydow?
That name sounds very familiar.
Well, he has been cast in Star Wars The Force Awakens, and no one knows what his role is. However, people are assuming or rumouring, if rumouring is a word, that he is going to be playing Kanan Jarrus in The Force Awakens because the actor is about the same age that Kanan would be at this time, and I could see some kind of similarities in an older Kanan.
Huh. Yeah, I'm looking at that right now, what it says. So why is it unlikely then? La, la. Luke Skywalker is being touted as the sage in The Force Awakens. He's the mysterious and powerful Force user people are looking for. He's also the only real connection with the Jedi or of the galaxy. Finding Luke is a big deal. So having Kanan Jarrus, an actual Jedi from the Clone Wars, there hanging around kind of negates one of the
Yeah,
central tenets.
I
Interesting.
yeah, I understand that, but what if Kanan's still playing the Kanan that we know? He's not coming out as a Jedi. What
Right.
if Kanan at this age is just acting as Kanan?
Yeah, because it seems like he doesn't really want the responsibility of being that
Oh,
role model. But like now that Rex is training Ezra as well, he's kind of feeling
yeah, I
more
love that
driven.
conflict.
Yeah,
And it's
like
like, you're a soldier, you're a Jedi.
like no, 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 it's time for your Jedi training now. He's not a soldier, he's a Jedi. It's like this is what I mean. Like he's got this
Yeah, but
internal conflict in him, and
Kanan, Kanan,
it's funny.
Kanan forgets that Jedi were stereotypically soldiers. They were keepers of the peace, but they were soldiers.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
I
So,
think the thing that he doesn't like about the soldier life is taking orders and not having freedom of choice. Maybe I think that's why he's so vehemently opposing that social construct because he doesn't like what it means. Like all of this, I'm telling you, is because he has a huge internal conflict and he's still trying to find his identity, what he really wants to do. He's teeter-tottering, man. I'm telling you, and he's just like. No, no, no. He's not a soldier. Soldiers are, they're freaking puppets. We don't roll like that. We do what we want.
I think that. Are you talking about Ezra or Kanan?
Kenan,
Right. Okay.
that's what he
Well, I
wants.
think
That's
that
what he
Kanan.
thinks, and he's trying to mold Ezra
No, no. I think
in a
that
way.
Kanan. It's nothing. It's nothing to do with the puppets, right? I think it's to do with the fact that Kanan had to suffer his two clone trooper best friends gunning down his master and then trying to shoot him. I
So
think
you
that
think he's
that's why he
just
shuns.
So you think he just
It's the,
simply doesn't want that for Ezra? Is that what you think? Because he definitely one thing's for sure. I feel like he's
yeah.
kind of. I do feel like a fatherly spirit coming off of him, like
Mm,
kind
yeah,
of
but
fatherly love
that
towards Ezra now.
Well, if you read the latest article with George Lucas, who was commenting on The Force Awakens, and he said that they went a completely different direction. They made Force Awakens for the fans. He's saying that that's not a bad thing, but he always seen it as a soap opera in space. It was always about the family. It was always about the Skywalker family, and that's how he would have continued it. He said they've not done that. However, I don't believe that because I think Kylo Ren is Luke's son personally. Boom. But I also think
Boom.
I do. I think that's why Luke's went in hiding. But I could be wrong. Not actually thinking about that. I don't know. But I think Kylo Ren's related. I also think that Finn is a Calrissian. I think he's Lando's son because the fact that he ends up with the lightsaber and nothing to do with skin orientation, just it makes sense. I know the way that Disney work. I know the way that family ties work. I know that the actor that plays Lando, Billy D. Oh, what's his name? Billy
Billy
D.
D.
Williams.
Williams. Yeah.
Yeah, it is rumored to appear in episode 8. It would make sense. The fact that they've said that Finn is his code name and it's actually F15NN and he didn't know his real name. But these are all rumours at the time. Who knows what's going to happen? It could just be a completely new cast related to nobody. The end. But anyway, back to Kanan and Ezra. I think that Kanan is just scared of the war. The fact that he knows that his mentor died. He was appreciative of the Jedi way. He didn't get his full training. The fact that he had to go to this sort of slum sort of lifestyle and live there. I think he was comfortable in the fact that he's been thrown back into it. He's more apprehensive. He is protective in a father-like way. But I've got a feeling that Ezra's going to hit the dark side. I really do. I've also got a feeling that Luke's going to be in the dark side. And that's nothing to do with rumours. That's just with me watching Return of the Jedi. Watch it again, people, if you're listening. I know you are. And you watch the scene where it's right at the beginning where C-3PO and R2-D2 go up to Jabba's palace. They come in. They get kidnapped. There's the whole Rancor scene. There's the dance. And Luke Skywalker appears. The first thing that he does to the two guards at the door, Yogi, while dressed in a black cloak, is force choke them. He force chokes them against the wall and kills them and keeps walking.
Huh. Interesting.
That's it. That's in Return of the Jedi. Right now, no matter what edition you watch, Luke Skywalker walks into the Jabba's palace and force chokes both guys. He doesn't do it in a Vader-style way, like, just at a work meeting where Vader gets pissed off and chokes his colleague. He's walking into the palace and the two guys, instead of force pushing them against the wall, knocking them out, like you've seen Obi-Wan and Anakin doing, in the prequels, he force chokes them. He kind of puts his hand in a force choke and you see them going, and they both hit the deck. So I think that because Luke has not had as much training, he's touched upon the dark side and locked himself away. I think that's the reason that Luke Skywalker's away. Boom.
Damn. Now I know we're gonna start wrapping up soon, but I'm thinking if Kenan or Ezra were to fall to the dark side, I'm wondering who would be more likely. And then
Ezra.
More importantly, okay, so you say Ezra, but like, what are the stakes that they have? Because usually it's something like there's a breaking point, like it's usually a human connection, which is why they try not to form, fall in love.
The reason that Kanan wouldn't fall is because he's got the basic training instilled into him that Yoda gave him and that his master gave him. Ezra has only had what Kanan has in his life before. Ezra's more resentful about the fact that his parents were taken away by the Empire. Kanan just hates the fact that his master got killed. There's a difference between resentment and hate. Hate is there. Resentment can get deeper. I know hate can get deeper, but I think resentment's more because you keep pondering on the fact. Kanan knows why his master get killed. He knows the whole thing about the two wars, the two sides. He's lived his life. He's not accepted it, but he's angry about it. But Ezra is confused and conflicted, in that way. Whereas Ezra's more stuck on the fact that his mother and father were never around. He had to basically be like... the first episode of Rebels is very comparable to Aladdin. And that's not just because of the likeness of Ezra looks like Aladdin from the movie.
He really does.
It does. It's the fact that he was scavenging. He was like, street rat, riff-raff, I don't buy that. Like, it's completely Aladdin. It's that says... Sorry for singing. We're not even singing. The fact that Ezra has had that in his childhood, whereas Kanan had a pretty normal childhood. He was at the Jedi Academy and only got conflicted about the age of 12. Kanan wasn't as young. Like, the way that Rebels has made us to believe is that he was barely trained and taken away. Like I said before, Kanan had the lightsaber training. He went through all the different styles. He did get injured, but he got taken by a master before normal pupils because he was advanced and because they felt the connection and he stood up to a bomb. Like he's done a lot for the Jedi Order so far, and it's not been breached upon in Rebels yet. But the fact that Ezra has had this life of, we'll call it a street rat because Aladdin was called a street rat, and he's resentful. That's a stronger feeling, I think.
I buy it. I'm just saying though. There's been a few occasions where Ezra has called out other people on their bullshit and their negativity, and I think he's got a
Yeah, I
good
can see
heart.
that.
So
Are you saying Kanan could go more angry? Because before you answer, I'll refer you to the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the greatest Jedi's ever, chopped his ex-pupil's arms and legs off and left them burning on a planet instead of mercy killing him. So, on to Kanan then.
I okay, well, fair point. Fair point.
And then stole his lightsaber and gave it to his son.
All right, all right, all right. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You know, the point is not to let the feelings. You can have that weak moment, but you don't let it consume you. All
It's
right.
not going to consider me. But that's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I mean, have we ever seen Yoda rage like that?
When he was fighting Darth Sidious, he made some weird noises.
I
Yes.
remember that. Oh, I love Yoda.
That's probably the worst moment in Star Wars history.
Yeah. And apparently, Yoda comes from his own long lineage that, for some reason, is overshadowed.
Yeah,
There's Yopa, there's Yoma, there's Yomar. Apparently,
is this the Yomar Lopez by any chance?
yeah. Apparently, he's part of that lineage.
The Force is strong in this one.
There is more to Yoda's world that I don't think they touch upon. All jokes aside, but that's neither here nor there. This is fascinating. Like the potential we have to see more of the world, unfold. And it all goes back to the holiday special. You gotta watch that if you want the real backstory, guys.
Yeah, the true story of Star Wars and the holiday special. So if you can get a hold of that before the next episode. But before we finish up, I've got to ask Yogi for a prediction. I'm going to make my prediction about The Force Awakens. Obviously, we'll make another one next month when obviously more things will come out about it. My prediction for The Force Awakens is that J.J. Abrams has played it safe. I think we're going to basically get the basic story of A New Hope or Star Wars. It's going to be... it's good unless the Jar Jar thing comes to play, which 70% of me doubts, but 30% of me wants it to happen. I think we're going to get the basic bad guy, good guy. Obviously, that's the central themes, but I think Kylo Ren's going to be like searching for Vader's artifacts. From what we know, he's going to think he's doing right. He's part of an order that fascinates over Darth Vader. Obviously, Finn is Stormtrooper. Something happens and he leaves the Stormtrooper Legion. And I think we're going to get a safe film rather than a risk-taking film. So that's why the Jar Jar thing goes out, because the first Star Wars not made by George Lucas. Do you think J.J. Abrams wants to fuck that up? I personally don't. I think he's going to play it safe. I really do. Like, in anyone's mind, as a Star Wars fan, you do stuff for the fans, which is going to be cool, but you're going to play it safe and leave it for the next guy. My person, like, as much as I like JJ, and that's not Jar Jar, that's JJ Abrams. I'm more looking forward to episode 9, which I know is about 6 years in the future, maybe more. By Colin Trevorrow, but who done Jurassic World. That film to me will be something interesting to see. But what is your predictions on The Force Awakens this episode, Yogi? Do you think it's going to be safe play? Do you think he's going to just take it batshit crazy? Do you think he's going to put a Star Trek style twist on it, or?
Yeah, I think he'll play it safe, and I think there'll be lots of lens flare.
No, I don't think there'll be any lens flare. He's actually commented on his lens flare. There's a video on YouTube if you Google J.J. Abrams commenting on his lens flare. He knows it's overdone. He won't do it to Star Wars. There might be one or two shots with lens flare, which I wouldn't mind, like a sweeping shot of Tatooine or Jakku, the planet where Rey's in. Um,
Yeah, it works in this context. No, but yeah, I think you'll play it safe because you know, take too many risks and people will preemptively judge. You know, because honestly, like going back to it, people were too quick to hate on Jar Jar. If he, you know, it wasn't like you
yeah,
saw that much of him, and otherwise you had a pretty good story. I think there were other things you could probably you could say there wasn't enough action
well,
in the first
well,
movie.
put it this way, what if that was the whole setup? Like the theory says that Jar Jar was the Phantom Menace, and that's the reason the prequels were ruined because George Lucas kind of got afraid to portray him as that. What if the fight with Anakin and Count Dooku was actually Anakin? You know, in the Attack of the Clones when they're fighting Anakin and Obi-Wan, and
Yeah,
Anakin loses his arm. What if that was Jar Jar Binks? And then what if it was Jar Jar Binks with Emperor and he reveals himself to be the actual master? You know, that could have changed the prequels completely and made them 100 times better as far as I'm concerned. It would have made sense the fact that Jar Jar was the way he was.
and it's not too late to do something like that without having to completely
Mm.
retcon. So there's potential there. But if there is gonna be some kind of long play like that, it won't be in this episode. I think this is gonna be a fun holiday movie. It's gonna have action. It's gonna have feels. It's gonna have some fan service for the longtime fans. It's gonna be a little bit of everything, and you ain't gonna come out of it and be like, I can't wait for more.
Yeah,
Do we
and
know
we're
what
getting
the runtime's gonna be? Was it like 2 hours or so?
2 hours ish. Yeah, I think so.
They need to go.
I can't remember. The runtime was announced, but I think it's about 2 hours. 2 hours is enough. It's the same runtime as Empire, as far as I know.
Nah, I want Lord of the Rings extended cut 3.5 hours. Bring it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would happily sit and watch a 3 hour Star Wars movie.
Well, to put it into perspective too, this Star Trek celebrates its 50th anniversary next year, and early 2017 they're coming out with a new show. So they kind of gotta hit it hard with Star Wars. 'Cause that
Yeah.
rivalry is always gonna be there. It's like who's the better space opera, you know? I mean, I like both.
Star Wars.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but
They're not mutually exclusive at all. I like Star Trek as much as the next guy, but Star Wars is just. It's on a grander scale, dare I say.
yeah. And again, like we said, what we talked about before, it's not just sci-fi; it also has the fantasy elements too.
Yeah, where Star Trek doesn't really have as much as the fantasy element, not counting the alien species. Star Trek's more believable
Yeah, exactly.
to
It's a
an
lot more
extent.
grounded.
Yeah, it's grounded in reality, whereas Star Wars is like, nope, it's another galaxy far, far away a long time ago. So that's my whole point. Like, this is going to come up saying a galaxy a long time ago. And it's like, so what's happening right now if this was a long time ago? Also, why does C3PO have a red arm?
You would notice
Like,
that.
yeah, but he's getting his own comic series to explain it.
Oh, I love all the droids, so that's cool with me. I mean, that's
I
like
mean, you're like this. The picture on this site, Yogi. It's C3PO and R2D2 meeting BB-8.
oh god, that's probably gonna be what's gonna get me the most excited because that's when the big kid in me comes out. It's just like R2D2 is so sassy, like just he cusses you out and like bleeps and bloops.
Yeah, but Chopper's got it above him. We wanted to talk about Chopper. I think Chopper, if any, actually, I take away my Ahsoka Tanoi, however it's pronounced. I think Chopper would be awesome to have in The Force Awakens.
That would be, but
Imagine Chopper BB-8 and R2-D2 on the screen together.
Dude,
Oh,
that'd be crazy.
that'd be awesome.
Chopper's also really resourceful. Like some of the stuff he comes up with,
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Chopper, I actually think Chopper's sassier than R2-D2.
He is, because he talks a lot more with his hands too.
Yeah.
Like
He's like,
he puts his hands on his hip. He puts his hands up in the air and makes shakes a fist around. Like it's just great.
he's like, wah, 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 wah.
Like talking back, like, "Hey, Chopper, do this for me." They go, "Wah."
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, it's just awesome. So we will have to wrap it up there, but we'll be back soon with more Rebels. We'll start from Rebels episode 4, I think we're on now, excluding the film. We'll talk about that next episode. We'll also talk about more Force Awakens news as it comes. Well, I'll talk about more of the comics, and yeah,
And by then, I'll have Battlefront in my hands, and we can talk about our experience with
yes.
Battlefront.
Yes, we can join the Battlefront together. If you want more Battlefront right now, you can check out 42 Level 1's YouTube where me and Andy played. We do a new series on 42 Level 1 called The First 42, where we play the first 42 minutes of a video game and review it. However, Battlefront ran about 2 hours because we wanted to cover every mode.
Yeah, there's a lot of game in there. A lot of game.
Yeah.
Contrary to
And
what
it's
people
only
were worried about to begin with.
yeah. There's a lot of modes, and apparently within the next 6 months, it's going to double in content with modes, heroes, and everything. So, Battlefront's a fun game. I can't wait to play with Yogi. And yeah, we'll catch you next episode.
And should we say together in unison?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
3,
Okay.
2,
2, 1. May
The
the
force
force be
be
with you.
with you. What else? What else would I
Okay.
say?
I don't know what you're gonna say. Okay, so 3, 2,
2, 1. May the
1.
force.
The force
Ah.
be with.
We're
Okay.
too tired. Take care, guys. We'll catch you next time.
See you next time.
That was good, man.